Welcome to the South Ops Fire Weather Webcast for Wednesday, June 18th. I'm your host, Kristen Stewart. With weak high pressure remaining in place over the western U.S., a very shallow marine layer is keeping low clouds limited to a few areas along the coastline. These clouds will be quick to clear, and another very sunny and warm day will be in store. High temperatures today will rise around 3 to 5 degrees over yesterday across the interior, especially over central California, where high pressure is re-strengthening after the passage of a weak trough earlier this week. Valley highs will mostly range in the 90s to near 100 for the warmest spots. The very shallow marine layer will allow inland coastal areas to rise into the 80s, except the beaches will remain cooler in the 70s. The lower mountain elevations will also remain cooler and more comfortable in the 70s and 80s. The low desert will be quite toasty, with highs nearing 115 degrees. Very little change in humidity is expected today as the dry air mass we've been dealing with lately is still hanging around. Widespread minimum humidities, ranging in the upper single digits to mid-teens, will be common away from the coastline, except even drier in the low to mid-single digits for the deserts and some mid and upper slopes. Since the marine layer is so shallow, lower humidities are expected to expand into the inland coastal plains. Poor overnight recoveries are likely to continue over many areas tonight, particularly over the deserts and the mid and upper slopes. For most areas, winds will be primarily diurnal and terrain-driven today. For the deserts and adjacent slopes, as well as portions of the central coast, breezy westerly winds will continue, with gusts of 20 to 40 miles an hour common over these areas, with occasional higher gusts in localized spots. These breezy conditions, combined with very warm and dry weather, will lead to a continuation of elevated fire weather conditions for the deserts and adjacent slopes. The weak high pressure that has been in control this week will be forced eastward into the desert southwest on Thursday by an approaching Pacific trough. Enhanced breeziness is expected across the interior on Thursday as the pattern begins to transition, leading to more widespread, elevated, and even critical fire weather conditions across the deserts and adjacent slopes. The trough will deepen over the west coast Friday into the weekend, bringing much cooler and breezier weather to the region. A weak troughing pattern will likely linger over the region early next week, keeping cooler weather and occasional breeziness in place. The approaching trough will bring about at least 5 to 10 degrees of cooling across most of central California and over the coastal counties to the south on Thursday, but not much change over the interior. More widespread and significant cooling is expected Friday and Saturday, with valley highs falling back below normal into the 80s. A deeper marine layer is expected by the weekend, which will keep the coastal areas much cooler in the 70s, including for the inland portions. Despite the deeper marine layer and cooling temperatures from the deep trough, very dry conditions are expected to linger through the weekend across the interior and mid and upper slopes. There will be a slight increase in humidity, with widespread minimums in the 12 to 25% range common above and away from the marine layer. However, the deserts and mid and upper slopes will continue to see minimums in the low to mid single digits. The incoming deep trough will bring a strong onshore wind push for Friday and Saturday. Stronger and more widespread southwest to northwest winds are likely during this period, with gusts in the 40 to 60 mile an hour range, strongest for the deserts and adjacent slopes. The combination of these gusty winds and very low humidity will bring elevated to critical fire weather conditions to the deserts and adjacent slopes on Friday and Saturday. While major desert fires are uncommon due to lack of fuel and lack of starts in most desert areas, the weather conditions will certainly support rapid fire spread in these areas. Most other areas will see a reduction in fire danger on Friday and Saturday with the cooler weather, deeper marine layer, and at least somewhat higher humidity. As for early next week, mostly uneventful weather is expected. Temperatures will rebound a little Sunday into Monday, with highs across the interior returning to around 90. Dry conditions will continue, but winds will become lighter. Dead fuel moistures continue to fall, now showing at or near record lows for this time of year in the 100-hour fuel class for most PSAs away from the coast. There isn't relief in sight, however, as the green forecast trend indicates a more substantial moistening trend by early next week with the upcoming troughing pattern and cooler weather. ERCs have trended notably above average as well, and we are seeing conditions more in line with mid-July than mid-June in a lot of areas. ERCs too will drop off pretty substantially in most areas with the upcoming cooler weather, especially in the finer fuels. Large fire potential will remain elevated today and Thursday due to the continued warm, dry, and locally breezy conditions. Overall region potential will decrease Friday and Saturday, but we will have to keep a close eye on the deserts and adjacent slopes on those days, as I mentioned earlier, with the increase in wind and continued very dry air. Fire potential should be much lower by early next week with continued cooler weather, a deeper marine layer, and less wind. In the meantime, grass-dominated fuels remain the most likely to support significant fire spread on any well-aligned starts. However, with the sheer amount of drying over the last couple weeks, there is some potential for brush and understory fuels to start becoming more receptive, especially below 4,000 feet. Expect moderate initial attack activity to continue through Thursday, then likely a decrease in activity late this week into next week. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Our next webcast will be on Thursday, June 19th. Have a fantastic day.